Percy Fawcett's City of Z. Percy Fawcett was one of Britain's greatest explorers of the early 20th century. His life was defined by a near-lifelong obsession to find the lost city of Z, an ancient, unknown civilization deep in the Amazon jungle. Fawcett made several expeditions and followed promising clues along the way, but a final dispatch to his wife proved to be ominous. Between 1906 and 1924, the British archaeologist, cartographer, and geographer made no less than 7 expeditions to South America, most of them in Brazil. During that time, he formulated several theories about a lost city that he called Z, by reading about the region, talking to natives, and even dabbling in the occult. In his research, Fawcett read a mysterious document called Manuscript 512. According to the paper, a group of explorers in the 18th century stumbled upon the ruins of an ancient metropolis with elaborate constructions and statues carved with hieroglyphics. The manuscript described the ruins in great detail, but did not specify their exact location. In 1914, Fawcett was gearing up to travel to the Amazon rainforest when World War I erupted in Europe, and the English government withdrew its monetary support. He tried again in 1920 by using his own money for the expedition, but withdrew after suffering from a high fever. Finally, in 1925, Fawcett and his son Jack hired local guides to help them find the ancient civilization. The men ventured deep into the dense jungle, walking at a grueling pace of 10 to 15 miles per day. On a final dispatch to his wife, Percy assured her that, quote, "Jack is well and fit and getting stronger every day. You need have no fear of any failure." But nobody heard from the explorers again. In case they didn't return, Fawcett left strict instructions that no rescue missions should be sent, as the risk of venturing into the jungle was too high. Still, many rescue groups attempted to uncover the truth behind Fawcett's disappearance, and dozens of explorers lost their lives while trying. To this day, no reliable physical evidence of Fawcett's group has been found, but several urban legends have offered clues as to what might have happened. Some local tribesmen claimed that Fawcett had lost his memory after an accident. Others argued that he went mad and became the chief of a tribe of cannibals. Another story suggested that Fawcett had never intended to return to England, and that his true intention was to establish a commune in the jungle depths. Still, researchers believe that Fawcett's findings may have been influenced by the archaeological site of Kuhikugu, discovered in 1925. But his disappearance remains a mystery that continues to fascinate almost a century later. Disappearing Rockefeller. In 1961, Michael Clark Rockefeller embarked on a 6-month expedition to film a movie and collect art from Papua New Guinea. One day he ventured out on his own and never came back. His father, New York Governor Nelson Rockefeller, funded an expensive campaign to find him, but his attempts were fruitless. Researchers have theorized for decades about Michael's disappearance, but a new video uncovered in 2014 may have finally shed some light on his whereabouts. After graduating from Harvard, adventurer Michael Rockefeller traveled to Papua New Guinea with a documentary crew and a desire to collect native artifacts for a museum funded by his father. However, during a catamaran excursion on his own, Michael suddenly disappeared. Future Vice President Nelson Rockefeller immediately funded an extensive search for his son. Michael was not found, and officials determined that he likely drowned or was attacked by an animal when his boat capsized. The case made waves across the nation, and several theories have surfaced about Michael's disappearance. Some experts claim that he had been kidnapped by Asmat headhunters. Known for their cannibal practices, the Rockefeller family feared the worst. Others believed that he'd orchestrated his own disappearance, as he was obsessed with the Asmat tribes. There were claims that he was hiding in the jungles, being treated as a white god. Another theory, vehemently denied by the Dutch government, stated that he had swum upstream after capsizing, but was attacked by natives as an act of revenge for a previous strike against the villagers by a Dutch colonial patrol. Still, there has never been evidence to prove any of these theories. Michael seemed to disappear without a trace. It was in 2014 that the makers of the documentary feature The Search for Michael Rockefeller uncovered revealing footage that pointed to yet another theory. The video, captured in 1969, shows a bearded, Caucasian man who somewhat resembled Rockefeller paddling in a canoe full of naked Asmat warriors. The footage was shot near Rockefeller's last known location, which led many people to believe that the lost explorer had probably joined the Asmat tribe and simply gone native. Disappearance of Ludwig Leichhardt. Ludwig Leichhardt was a Prussian scientist and naturist, best known for his expeditions into the Australian wilderness. In April 1848, Leichhardt attempted to cross the entire continent accompanied by a small crew and several animals. But soon after departing, They all vanished. His rifle was found decades later, and a curious discovery in 1970 brought the mystery back to the public's attention. Leichhardt was known as the Prince of Explorers and admired by noblemen across Europe. During some of his expeditions, he uncovered land that could be suitable for settlements. He was also responsible for one of Oceania's earliest maps. The scientist had mounted 2 successful expeditions within Australia before he embarked on his third and most crucial adventure, a 2,800-mile east-to-west horseback trek across the Australian outback. In April 1848, Leichhardt and his team of 5 white men, 2 Aboriginal guides, and over 70 animals left southern Queensland bound for Western Australia. But shortly after leaving, the entire party vanished without a trace. After several attempts to locate the group, his disappearance became the subject of curiosity and rumors for over a century. Most theories revolve around being killed by an indigenous tribe, succumbing to starvation, or even being attacked by sharks in the Gulf of Carpentaria. Others suggest that Leichhardt's team turned against him, or that he was forcefully disappeared by the British government. In 1900, a brass plate inscribed with the explorer's name was found by a native stockman. It was attached to the scientist's rifle, which appeared to have been fired, and wedged into a tree carved with the letter L. Subsequent searches around the area found no more artifacts that could shed any light on Leichhardt's final expedition. But in the 1970s, over 100 years after his disappearance, Aboriginal rock paintings containing potential clues about his fate were found in northwestern Australia. One of the paintings depicted a white man wearing formal clothing and holding a rifle like a spear, as if the painter did not know how a gun was used. Another painting showed a man riding a horse and wearing a broad-brimmed hat. The pictures were widely publicized, but they could not be officially connected to the explorer. The mystery of Ludwig Leichhardt continues to live on. The disappearing Corte-Real brothers. In 1501, Portuguese brothers Gaspar and Miguel Corte-Real captured 57 natives from the Canadian wilderness and embarked on a voyage back to Portugal. But Gaspar's caravel never reached its destination. A year later, his brother Miguel launched an expedition to search for him, but a familiar outcome was in the cards. In the late 1400s, King Manuel I of Portugal became interested in western exploration. He ordered several expeditions to the area, and in 1500, explorer Gaspar Corte-Real set sail in Portugal's name. His caravel was able to reach Greenland, but could not land due to frozen seas. Gaspar, the youngest of 3 brothers, embarked on a second expedition to the west in 1501, along with his brother Miguel and 3 caravels. During the trip, they failed to land in Greenland again, but changed course and kept sailing. They eventually landed in a country of large pine trees and rivers, believed to be Labrador, Canada. They then captured 57 natives and planned to take them back to Portugal, where they could sell them to finance the lengthy voyage. 2 of the expedition's 3 caravels returned safely to Portugal, but the ship carrying Gaspar Corte-Real was lost at sea. A year later, Miguel Corte-Real led a search party to the area where Gaspar was believed to be lost, but his ship went missing too. When the oldest Corte-Real brother, Vasco Anés, learned of his sibling's disappearance, he had a private audience with the king. He begged the king for funds to look for his lost brothers, but the king refused, unwilling to risk further embarrassment by losing a 3rd brother. It was widely believed that the 2 brothers simply perished in a tragic coincidence, but Brown University professor Edmund Delabar had another theory. In 1912, Delabar examined petroglyphs carved into Dighton Rock, a 40-ton boulder located near the Taunton River in Massachusetts. Delabar claimed that Miguel Corte-Real inscribed the rock with abbreviated Latin markings that read, quote, "I, Miguel Corte-Real, 1511, in this place by the will of God, I became a chief of Indians." Experts have been unable to decipher the supposed Latin markings on Dighton Rock, but others contend that Miguel survived in the New World for at least a decade after his mysterious disappearance and probably joined a local tribe. Naomi Uemura. In August 1970, Naomi Uemura became the first person to solo climb to Denali, formerly known as Mount McKinley, the highest mountain peak in North America. 14 years later, Uemura attempted to climb Denali again, but this time during the winter and under much rougher circumstances. A diary found in a cave days later was a testament to his determination. As an experienced climber and survivalist, Uemura packed light and decided to forego bringing a tent to his second venture atop Denali. With the goal of reaching a height of 20,310 feet above sea level, he would instead camp in snow caves that he would build along the way. On February 12, 1984, Uemura reached the summit and left a Japanese flag that was later discovered by other climbers. The next day, Uemura made a radio call stating that he would reach base camp within 2 days. News quickly spread about his triumphant feat. By February 15th, park rangers and media members waited for him at base camp, but he never showed up. Search aircraft were summoned to fly over the area. A rescue pilot claimed to have spotted a safe Uemura camping at 16,000 feet, but severe weather conditions prevented searches the following days. Uemura was never seen again. Rescuers eventually found remnants of Uemura's gear and his diary inside a cave. The first entry in his journal, written during his ascent, read, quote, "I wish I could sleep in a warm sleeping bag. No matter what, I am going to climb Mount McKinley."